Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. The webinar, you don't need a goat for symbolic giving to be successful. Thank you everyone for dialing in this afternoon and joining and listening in on this. I think we're going to share some really great information that you'll find valuable. As always, we want your questions and comments. So on your GoToWebinar panel, there's a button to submit your question. So submit your questions and we will answer them, or your comments, and we'll read them through during the webinar. And if there's a question we're not able to answer, I'll make sure that we follow up with you and get back to you on that. I have presenting with me today Duke Smith, our Senior Vice President of Client Strategy, who brings a senior level philanthropic counsel to the charitable community. And has been working in the space for over 25 years and has a lot of knowledge about symbolic giving and gift catalogs. And so thank you, Duke, for doing this webinar with us today.
You're welcome.
So before I hand it off to Duke, I'll sort of say, what caused us to schedule this webinar. There have been a lot of discussions in our space about how nonprofits can diversify their revenue, whether it's because they lost event revenue or some other reason that impacted their numbers for the year. And a great way to solve that is with symbolic giving and gift catalogs. And so we thought it would be valuable to put out some information about how symbolic giving can be added to your program to add another stream of revenue for things. And so Duke's gonna talk through that and explain some things and dispel some myths.
Well, great. Hey guys, welcome. Great to have you. So thankful that you're here. This is going to be a fun hour. I promise you that we'll have some polls and some fun things to do. I'll give you a lot of information, a lot of visuals so that you can see what we're talking about. I'm trying to condense down about 25 years of doing catalog work into about an hour, so that's going to be really hard to do. I wish I could talk to you for a lot longer than this, because this is one of my passions. I love working with gift catalogs. I would love working with organizations that have a passion for this work, and we'll certainly do our best. I'm grateful because I've worked with a lot of incredible people over the years through this industry. I kind of stand on their shoulders, and one of the things I've gotten I've had the honor of doing is doing these catalogs. Right now we're in the midst of catalog season. We're just sort of kicking it off, and I thought that we would talk about three things here. First is to dispel the common myths about gift catalog. You might think, well, I've done that before, or yeah, I did it, tried it, failed, or whatever, or that's just for these organizations that work with children overseas. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about potentially how symbolic giving or gift catalog giving can be very successful for your fundraising program, especially in this day and age when we're trying to diversify our fundraising channels and efforts. And I'll illustrate a little bit about how this has worked for other organizations. I've got a lot of information, so we'll try and go as thoroughly but as quickly as we possibly can. So the first question is, what is symbolic giving? What does it exactly mean? It's a bit of a misnomer, and so I'll unpack that just a little bit. Let's just take the word symbolic. It doesn't necessarily mean no substance or without no substance. Quite the opposite. It's really a representation of something greater, and I'm going to unpack that a little bit as we go along. It's sort of like looking at the flag or looking at your logo. It means more than just what it means visually. There's something behind it, and that something behind it, catalogs have this incredible way of showcasing, and you're going to hear me say this probably 50 times today, showcasing who you are as an organization in the best possible light. It's about giving. It's about diversifying fundraising. It's not necessarily a new way of doing direct mail or a new way of doing or a different way of doing digital. It's really about giving your donors an incredible experience to engage them, to raise funds from them. Not just your current donors, many organizations that I'm involved with use catalogs for their acquisition purposes as well. That year after year, you'll see that catalogs can, for the right organization, not necessary for all, but can become this new and ongoing stream of diversified revenue. It's just a way of really showcasing your organization in a very unique way. That's what really symbolic giving is all about.
So before we dive into the meat of the presentation today, we've got a poll that we will launch. And the poll is, does your organization do any symbolic giving today? So to give us an idea of who is listening in on the webinar today. I'll give everyone a minute or two to answer that. Okay. So let me close the poll and sharing the results. So 50%, or I'm sorry, 47% yes and 53% no. So about half and half of people who do it and who don't do it, which I think is a perfect mix for this, the content of this webinar. So let's get into it. So as Duke said, the meat of the webinar is dispelling the 4 common misconceptions about gift catalogs. And so I'll go through and set up one of the misconceptions that we've heard people say in the past, and then Duke's gonna dispel the myths. So first misconception is that nobody looks at gift catalogs in 2020.
False. The answer is false. Yeah, the short answer is false. And we're done with this webinar. This is great. Thank you very much. No, the fact is that lots of organizations, not just in the for-profit world, but in the nonprofit world, do publish and solicit donors through catalogs. And it's not just for the NGO world, the relief and development world, which has usually on the cover a symbolic goat. And I'll show you some of those just to encourage you that that the catalog isn't dead, and it's certainly alive and well. Lots of organizations have done them. Many organizations have failed. If you can believe it, Amazon is a great example of an organization that actually publishes a holiday catalog. So if Amazon does it, and I just blew my mind when they actually have a 90-page catalog that they send out. And this is just an example. This was last year's catalog, playing together. Look at this bright, fun cover of 2 kids playing. Actually, when you go through the catalog, you can actually make a hat or a costume out of an Amazon box. But what I liked about this catalog is I love when you turn the page, the first thing that you see is this phrase, and which is, once you turn this page, you'll enter a world where holiday dreams are made. So stack the cookies high and keep the cocoa toasty and cozy up together, because you'll definitely want to check this book twice. I just thought was a great way of engaging, parents, grandparents, readers. Right away, it sets the tone for what this is all about and what Amazon is all about. So you're going to hear me talk about it's capturing a bit of the essence of the organization in a tangible way. Throughout this catalog, there are stickers. Believe it or not, we've used stickers in catalogs before. There are fun games to play. There's a wish list. And I just wanted to show you one of the pages on the inside, which is a family enjoying their holidays together, the magic of make-believe. So if Amazon can do it, I believe that we're in good company here. I'll show you some other examples as we move on. I'll show you some examples. I also want to talk to you a little about, I thought this quote really captures the essence of what catalogs are. This This was written by a gentleman in Media Agency Daily. It's called "What's New is Old Again." But this is a guy who works at a tech agency, and all they do is engaging, customers and donors in the high tech world. And in his living room, he received a gift catalog, and he was playing with it with his son. And so in the middle, he says, "One glossy print catalog opened my son's eyes to new things he didn't even know existed. The catalog proved to be a window into possibilities." So catalogs give us control over our consumer experience. Catalog engages our senses and triggers our memories. It gives us the ability to control the intake of information and interact with the experience on our own terms. So I thought that was just a cool quote about how catalogs are more than just transactional. They're inspirational, they're aspirational. They perform, and you're going to hear me say this time and time, a different function than other channels that you currently use. Just a little example, again, of IKEA. You think of them as home furnishings and this woman sleeping bed. Just a great front cover image.
A very romantic way to look at engaging with people.
Which is what your catalog is, what our world is helping people. Our
Yeah.
help is transfer in it, or animals, or people that are in need, whether it's health services, whatever sector is. It's about transforming the situation. And catalogs, because it's tactile, because there are many pages, you can take your donors on a journey, and they can see the full breadth of your organization. This is just another example. Joe Gees from Bass Pro, in which their approach is, we try very hard to create a one-to-one dialogue with and presentation to our customers, no matter where they live or shop. With our catalogs or tabs and inserts, we increasingly transformed what was traditionally a mass market channel into a one-on-one connection with our donors. How many times have we said to each other in this industry, we need to engage one-on-one with the donors that are on our file, not just solicit them, 50 times a year, not just, just ask them to do things over and over again, but to really engage with them on a one-to-one basis. That's how certainly Bass Pro sees it. And there's lots of other examples. Our catalog's dead? Not at all. Obviously we're in good company with Crate and Barrel and Blair and Pottery Barn and West Elm. Just these are some of their recent catalog covers. You can see that they are enticing you in. They're telling their story on the front cover. They want you to know that the place that you're going to be shopping is warm and it's inviting and it's going to take care of you. It's going to help you. And that's what our catalogs are as well. We're going to invite our donors in, and we're going to show them what we're all about. And across the board, whether it's Champion, athletic wear, whether it's things like leather or goods or clothes, just across, and you can see across the gamut. It's not just for old people waiting, at home, waiting, retiring, but it's for young people and for people in between. So catalogs tend to kind of span the age category and also span the income category and also span the country regionally. So again, we're in good hands here.
Yeah, it makes me think of the myth I feel like we were dispelling for a while, which is direct mail is dead. But I think we're finding, mail has its place within a communication stream. And I think what I'm hearing from you is like catalogs also have their place within our communication channel mix.
Yeah, I think of it in terms of every channel has their uniqueness. Every channel has their secret. Every channel has something that you have to figure out of how to make it work. And so there could be organizations. I remember those days when it was direct mail is dead. And I think Roger Craver said, if it is, it's an exquisite cadaver.
Yeah.
Great quote. I never have forgotten. I probably heard that quote 25 years ago or 20 years ago. Same thing with a catalog. It's not, the difference is this channel is not necessary for every organization. There are things you have to get right. There's an audit you have to do. You have to kind of figure out whether or not this is right for your organization. Most organizations, it is exactly right. You just have to know how to do it correctly.
Yep. Which leads us perfectly into our next myth of we need a goat to showcase. So what gave us the inspiration to put goat in the webinar title, which I loved. I think we need more animal themes, but I'll let you dispel this myth.
Well, if I've heard that quote once, I've heard it, 100 times. In fact, we'll often sit around with new catalog clients and say, "What's your goat?" I think
Yeah.
it's a bit of a misnomer, but I get what it means. It's like if you look at the NGO catalog world, pretty much not 100%, but pretty much, you're going to see a goat on the front cover. I've traveled to Africa, I've traveled all over the world. I put those goats on those kids' shoulders and we've taken photography. So I get it. And but see what a goat is, it's a great representation of a product and the
Mm-hmm.
life that it's changing, right? So that's the kind of the essence of it. You don't necessarily need to have a goat. What we need to figure out is like, what are you doing? What services are you providing, and how do you want to demonstrate or showcase that service to your target audience? You don't necessarily need a goat, but you need something that captures the essence of the product and the organization. And then you have to figure out, can we, with help of others, can we develop or identify 60 quote unquote products or items or services? We call them programs and services. And so once you get to about 20, and it's actually, you'll think, I probably have 4 or 5. That's where those that are in the catalog industry can kind of help, to identify more than 4 or 5. We're working with a brand new organization at the moment. That was the feel in terms of their fall catalog, online and offline, and they felt like you probably had about 10 or 15. We uncovered about 26 or 30 products. And the issue is it must be easily to understand. In other words, when they think of your organization, do they think of this product? That's really, if you see a product, you go like, how does that work with this hospital organization? Or how does that work with some other organization where the donors aren't quite making the connection?
Yeah.
That's where you have a problem.
That's your litmus test.
Yeah, so if it makes sense, if it's one, accurate about what you do as an organization, and two, and it makes sense, it's easy to connect with the donor, then you've got a great product.
And I think we have some good examples of non-goat products.
This is so let's talk about, this is an organization, this is out of Canada, and it's a mental health organization. Had this very same dilemma. It's like, what's our goat? And so so we work with them, and we said, what is the essence of the Center for Addiction and Mental Health? I mean, if you could believe an organization where you go like, how does that work in a catalog? This is a well-established catalog that's been going on for years and years and years. So we felt like this front cover should kind of express what this organization does, which is setting people free from the anguish, from suffering, from the situation of mental health. And we wanted to show this at the holiday season. So this was just a great shot where it's this gift of light, which is how they named their catalog. We did not name the catalog, came before us, but it's a gift of light. So what a better way of showing a woman just, set free. And that's what we wanted to show. There's a spread that we're showing there where, there's different products. This is throughout the catalog is probably a 12 or 16 page catalog. No goat in sight. And I'll show you the next one as well. This is a Canadian Cancer Society, another Canadian client. Again, what does it show? It shows the end result of, or the end result of, a life free of cancer. And so I love that shot of that mother rubbing noses with her daughter. It just says to me, like, now I want to give to that organization if they can provide that sort of connection, that sort of love, that sort of interaction. Sign me up. So it was, again, it wasn't necessarily a quote unquote product that was on the cover, but it was more of the end result of what this organization does. This is an NGO. This is Save the Children US. We have worked on their catalog for many, many years. I think we're in our 9th or 10th year at this point. For years, we have goats on the cover. But what we realized was that donors to this organization, the gift of educating a girl was creeping up and up and up in terms of the popularity of the catalog. So we removed, for this example, we removed the goat from the catalog, and we just wanted to show this great shot of this girl in Malawi receiving an education. And I was on that shoot. It was an incredible shoot, and it just shows, again, it's about a girl receiving, what she needs to live a life of fullness and freedom and and joy, and so this is the inside spread. We're showing again, educate a girl and show her anything is possible. It's not about a goat, it's about how it transforms lives.
Love that. The next myth is it's just not worth it and will cannibalize other revenue channels.
Well, that's again false. I can't think of, so just empirically, and I can't recall any organization I worked with for over the years where we looked at this and we found that it had cannibalized the holiday revenue season. Now, why is that? So this is the difference in the catalog, and hopefully I can explain this as articulately as I can. So the catalog, when it's done properly, it's not a direct mail piece. It's not a digital campaign. Because at its core, the core of what it does, and this is where I think most of those that might have tried catalogs and maybe failed, is that they don't see it as the central issue is that it solves a donor's dilemma. What's the donor dilemma? Everyone needs to shop for their family, friends, and loved ones during the holiday season. So what you're doing as a cataloger organization is you're solving their problem. And how you solve their problem is, yes, you receive a donation, but you are given the ability for a donor to shop through the catalog and think, oh, I could give, Aunt Jane a gift from this gift catalog, and then that organization will send you a card. Then you'll give that card to Aunt Jane. She opens it up and says, you know what, and you say to her, you know what, I've given you pajamas every year for the last 10 years. I wanted to do something different that's going to change the life of a child, or it's going to rescue an animal, or it's going to do something that's going to transform someone here in either the United States or around the world. So it really solves a donor dilemma of holiday shopping. And the way that we do that is we take our cue from the retail world. Okay, catalogers such as Eddie Bauer and all these, they've been doing this for decades and decades. So we learn from them. We take our cue from them. Let's learn from what the retail world is doing. And it's not necessarily from the direct mail world. There are things that we do, such as segmentation, things like that, that we do learn from the direct mail world, but it's really a retail experience, a shopping experience. That's where we start, okay? And because of that, the way that I think of it is it sits on top of your holiday fundraising season. So it doesn't compete with, in other words, you don't sit around and say, how can I slot this in to the direct mail calendar or to the fundraising calendar? That would be sort of so that it's taking the place of something. It
Right.
sits on top of it. And the reason I believe that it can sit on top of it is because you're not competing with direct mail, you're solving a problem. And as much as we can get our heads around that like, oh, okay, so that's why when you see, and we go through catalogs, we will promote the catalog as such. For example, great gift for grandma, or like for the school teacher in your life, it'll be like a slap dot. We call them slap dots, or little circles that we print on the catalog, or it could be like bestseller, or this item is trending. So we'll actually go through a catalog and selected pages will treat it almost like a retail experience. So that's
Yeah.
why I believe that, it sits on top.
So there was a question confirming that the gift catalog is best executed around the year-end time.
Yeah, I'll later, if we end up getting to it, there is a calendar that we follow. We're in the calendar now. So yes, my advice would be to launch your gift catalog, to do a proof of concept, not in the spring, not in an evergreen situation, but during the holiday season. So, many of our well-established, not-for-profit catalog clients, we will drop in October, and that's early October. It will drop in November, and we might drop in early December or late November. Sometimes there's a 3-drop strategy. Sometimes there's a 2-drop strategy. Maybe those maybe those organizations that want to dip their toe in the water, they might want to do it once. And then we build the digital experience around the print, and I'll talk about that later on. But it is a holiday shopping experience. Great thing about catalog is it really does, when you kind of look at it in its totality, it positions your organization in its absolute best light. What do I mean by that? Well, sometimes in our world of fundraising, a lot of times we generate revenue by showing the need, right? So the more need we show, and then we also show this solution. But we believe that donors, for many organizations, need derives revenue. The catalog is completely the opposite, and that's what I love about it. And that is that it showcases the opposite. It showcases, as you saw in those examples, happy smiling children, happy smiling faces, overjoyed, because why? Their lives are being transformed. It's this great opportunity and it's the only thing that I can think of in a great way where you can raise decent funds, significant funds with a positive solution message in both cultivation or house file cultivation and acquisition. There are very few other channels or efforts or initiatives that can sort of do that. And the other thing about a catalog is not only can you acquire donors and cultivate them. We just did a recent analytics survey, analytics project with one of our longstanding clients, and we found out that, I'm going to read it, donors who give to catalogs, okay, in addition to other channels, have over 20% higher annual value and twice the renewal rate compared to donors that do not give to a catalog. That's a significant increase. That was actually a surprising number that we saw. So our goal is to get people to give to your donors, to give to catalogs, as well as other channels, those that have come in from other channels to give to catalogs, because once they do, they're going to give a much higher amount. Their values are going to be higher, their retention values. Part of it is, and here digital catalog givers, retain at much higher rates than those who don't give to catalog digitally. So it not only lifts what I would say digital revenue, it also raises offline revenue as well. Part of the answer, not the complete answer, is when you put out a catalog, we would expect to see average gift rates in the $100 to $150 range. And that would be for acquisition, maybe more in the $100 range, and maybe $150 for house file. So average gifts are very large. They're giving, 2, probably 3. They're selecting 2 or 3 products or gifts throughout the catalog. So it's a great way to upgrade donors. It's a great way to increase their average value.
It makes sense. I mean, if you're thinking holiday shopping, you want to get a bunch of gifts at one stop. Knock out gifts for all your aunts and your cousins in one place. And so it makes sense that they would be purchasing multiple things from the gift catalog. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, we do things like, we get sort of creative. And it just depends on the organization as well. So we'll do things like stocking stuffers. Maybe it's an item in a catalog that might be a $5 item or a $10 item, and we'll use that as like, hey, if you're checking out, if you're online, you're going to, to check out, hey, why not purchase this additional item as well? And again, these are symbolic gifts. I can talk a lot about the difference between symbolic and one-on-one gifts. In other words, if you buy a goat through the catalog, you give a goat. Like I work with organizations that do both, and both do equally as well.
For the digital catalog stat, we had a question asking to clarify, is it, reading through, is it digital catalogs retain more or digital donors who give through a mail catalog retain?
Digital donors, okay, who give to either a printed catalog or the kind of digital version of it. They might, go online and they might fulfill their gift online. So those that are, again, it's sort of a multi-channel donor who would traditionally be a digital donor only, and they give to a gift catalog, either print or digital. Their retention rate is 166% for this particular organization, higher than those who did not interact or give to a catalog offer.
And we have a lot of questions sort of asking about the differences between online and digital. And I know I'll let our question askers know that we've got some stuff later on in the deck kind of talking more about digital catalogs and the mail catalogs.
Yeah, so this is a crazy chart. This is absolutely an accurate chart. I've taken out all kinds of client information, whatever. This is so if the good news about retention, like that's pretty cool news. And if that's not enough for you, this is this is an organization that we started from basically zero, and this is the first 7-year period of time. Now, of course, I'm showing you this incredible example because it's fun, but it's real, and there's a lot of money here. So we went from literally about $79,000 in the first year to over $16 million in year 7, and actually went on to go to upwards of $20 million.
Wow.
So yeah, it's crazy. And here's the thing. I'm showing you this great, because I'm so proud of this. Okay. However, we have organizations right now that they might raise $200,000 a year or $300,000. I don't know of really any organization right now that I'm working with that might raise less than $250,000 a year, from their gift, and that would be of a donor file of maybe 25,000, for example. So and that's, again, I think of it like as over and the top. So like $250,000 is not bad, right? And the ROI ranges, it could be 3 to 5 to 6 to 1. But then we have other organizations that raise $2 million a year, right? So, and we instituted that catalog many years ago. So that's a nice little, again, it's a nice little bump up in revenue, $2 million a year, and it's been like that year after year after year after year after year.
So it sounds like any other fundraising channel or avenue is you have to, it grows over time. It's not something that you do once and expect, oh, well, the results are the max results.
No, not at all. It's continual, as you'll see later, and continual refinement, product refinement, creative refinement, segmentation refinement, our online shopping experience, refining that, making sure there's no, hiccups, our digital promotion of the catalog, whether it's social or email or, whatever, making sure that that's all aligning, and also building, we'll see later, building internal alignment so that the organization sees this as a worthy campaign and not just, off to the side in one division. So I'm going to move on very quickly, but this is it's sort of not really answering the question, is it worth it? Because hopefully that you've seen that's worth it by now. But there are a number of reasons why that catalogs work, and it's worth it. They create desire. I love this quote. This is an article from Lois Brayfield where she says, catalogs have the space and freedom to tell your story and to share a lifestyle and create desire. And so I thought about this, like, yeah, that's exactly what I've got. 16 or 12 or or 32 or 28 pages to tell the organization's story. That's what's so great about it. It's not just for example, an email. It's not just a direct mail package. It's
Yeah.
not just a television show. For example, and it tells the story from multiple points of view, um, through the products that we're offering people we're offering our donors to consider. So when you have, there are some products, I think our printed catalog, there'll be 60 different products, and then another maybe 20 or 30 online that would be exclusively online and not in the printed catalog. So we're talking about offering, maybe 80 products or so to donors who might not ever get to see them in this certain light. So in my opinion, it really creates this freedom to, tell the story. And we've already said, catalog shoppers are very, very loyal. It's interesting that she found the same thing. And she's speaking from a for-profit, point of view, stronger lifetime value. Interesting, we did too. And also, it also gives us the opportunity there's some testing that goes on within products. So we might find that a product that we might uncover, together, we'll try that out in the catalog, and it might do like really, really well. And so we go, okay, that's great. Now we can maybe use that in other channels as a new offer, for example, online offer, as a new direct mail offer, or whatever. It allows us to kind of expand our offering, and drives up average order. So a couple more, they drive action. So it's just, I love the second point where, according to internet retailing, consumers who shop multiple channels will spend 80% more than those who only shop in store. And we are seeing that exactly in our nonprofit catalogs as well. Same sort of multi-channel interaction with donors is driving up driving up not only average gifts, but also donor engagement. And then catalogs, you can scale them up or down. So you can start off by a 12-pager, then we get up to a larger, or you can scale them back. In fact, last year, one of our clients, we used to do a 20-page catalog, and we decided, you know what, I think we could probably cut this down to 16. We actually scaled the catalog down. We held our breath, and we raised more money than the year before. So you can scale it up, and then you can also scale it back down if you find that your ROI is not quite exactly where you need it to be.
Next myth is, which isn't really a myth, but for the sake of the theme of things, it's a statement of, we tried it before and it didn't work. And Duke's got some examples on things you can look at or things you can try, things you can implement if that's the case. But that's our next poll for everyone, is to ask, have you tried symbolic giving before? So I know a little under 50% say they do it, but for everyone else, have you tried symbolic giving before? So I'll give a couple seconds for you guys to answer. In the meantime, Duke, there was a question about, what portion of organizations you've worked with do their catalogs through symbolic giving, as opposed to, you buy a goat and a goat is actually given to the organization?
That is a great question, because that's changed over the years. It used to be almost 100% of the catalogs that I did, that I have done, was all sort of one-to-one giving.
Yeah.
Buy a goat, deliver a goat. There was one organization we work with, we changed that to true symbolic giving. In other words, and this is an NGO. And for example, if a donor, quote unquote, they bought a goat, that revenue was given to the sector. So the kind of like the livelihood sector, not necessarily to like buying a goat. Mm-hmm. And it was given to a sector, and we tested that out first. And believe it or not, the year that we switched to that sort of symbolic giving, there was no degradation in revenue. Okay,
Wow.
so now, and so that was like shocking, right? To us, because that, but now it's pretty much all except for maybe one organization that we're working with that is symbolic giving. There's still one that's sort of a one to one, but other than that, and that's where we do a lot of work. We really sweat over the details of this about our copy. We have
Yeah.
we have disclaimers in our catalog that because hey, we're just being honest, and
Yeah.
it could be representative to the category, or it could just be representative to what we do as an organization. And what we have found is it's okay that people will understand. I mean, maybe they might not understand it 100%, but at least they understand enough to say, you know what, I trust you. I'm going to give a gift to you, and you can use that gift. I'm going to give it, symbolically, and then you will do with it what is best for the individual that you're serving.
Awesome. Well, and you unintentionally asked or answered a follow-up question about, how you communicate that, and it's all about your copy and disclaimers. So the results of our poll, have you tried symbolic giving before? Looks like about a third yes and 2/3 no.
Well, let me just say one thing. I'm not here, hawking catalogs. I'm not. What I believe, and I think those that know me kind of understand this about me, is it's all about what's best for you.
Yeah.
I would be the last one to say catalog is like perfect for everyone. Not at all. We really think about this quite a bit. We think about like, how are donors going to receive this? Are they going to receive this in the right way? Like I can think of one catalog that I did not do, by the way, in particular, that I was really surprised it didn't really work. And I talked to people that later on were behind the scenes, and I felt like, what, it's probably, even though it looked like a catalog, looked just like a catalog, had all the products, had slap dots in it, it was like amazing, but I felt like, what, it doesn't solve the donor's need.
Mm,
They're not coming to this organization trying to shop.
yeah.
They're ultimately the real reason they're coming to this organization is because they believe in their ministry, and they want to just, what, they don't want to be acknowledged, like how some people just say, like, I don't want you to thank me. I'm just doing it out of my heart. And so I felt like, what, there's a lesson there we need to learn. It's not for everybody. And that's why when when organizations come to us, we're really kind of selective, because one, it's donor funds. We got to be very, very careful that we're not wasting donor funds. And
Yeah.
two, do we have success in this category? And three, do we feel like it could be, again, perceived as a shopping experience, at least to start?
Yeah. And I'll say, I think if there's anyone listening who comes out of this webinar thinking, maybe it's a fit for us, we can always, if you reach out to us, we can connect you with Duke and with the people on our team to help you figure out and decide, if it's something that's a fit for your organization.
Yeah, so we tried it before and it didn't work. It's sort of like everything else in life, well, did you do it the right way? Just because we did it, doesn't mean that we did it quite right. Maybe the execution was actually wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe the approach was wrong. Maybe the point of view of a catalog wasn't, for example, was it, and I know people are going to ask me about this, was it just a digital only, catalog, or was it a print and digital? And that's a whole other conversation. Maybe we'll have time at the end. But was the execution right? So
Yeah.
I step back and I say, first of all, we want this experience for your donors to be a wow experience. Why do I say that? Because your donor is saying, I'm going to give a gift to Aunt Jane. I'm trusting you, organization, to make this great, because when I give that card to Aunt Jane, this is what I believe. There's this kind of interaction that goes between the giver and the person that's giving, and that person that's receiving, and you can kind of see it in their eyes. So are they kind of disappointed? Is the receiver a little bit disappointed, or is it something that the receiver is like, oh wow, that's so great? I want that receiver to say, oh, that is so great. Thank you for thinking of me. I don't need another pair of pajamas. I'm so glad that I can do some good. So it's this wow experience that from start to end that I want to make sure this catalog, because we have to deliver for our donors.
Yeah.
We talked about retail best practices, about this being, it's a holiday shopping experience, at least to start. That might kind of evolve, by the way, as you go into year 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and whatever, versus just a regular donations solicitation. Now, this is where what we find is when you do a digital catalog only, in other words, you just encourage people to go online and do their shopping, right? You're basically losing out on about half of the revenue that you would if it were a print and digital campaign, right? Same thing. So it's always this. It's when you have a digital and a print kind of campaign working together, and you're pushing people online, people that might be digital, donors only, they're receiving a catalog. When we have the experience, then usually it's kind of like 50-50. So your offline revenue will be about 50% of your total revenue, and your digital revenue will be about 50%. So when you kind of cut off, when you lose one of your arms, like that's what actually happens. Your half as effective. So that's why we see this as it has to work together to raise the maximum funds. I don't know that I would encourage anybody right now to just do a kind of a digital or an online catalog experience only, because I feel like I would be giving you the wrong advice, because you're going to miss out on a lot of revenue if you do that. And I don't and you won't be able to really gauge the true value of a catalog experience. Did so I think of like, oh, we did it in it didn't work. Was it an October through December experience? Was it, so we'll drop catalogs as early as October. Why? Because that's what retailers do. They're doing, they're like dropping their holiday catalogs in October. And so, and the same thing, if you look at retail catalogers, they're not just sending you maybe one catalog, they might send you 2 or 3, sometimes 5 or 6, right? So we take a clue from that. And so for our successful catalogs, we're dropping at least 3 times a year. So yeah, and then the other things is like, what kind of photography, what kind of copy, what kind of photography have you used? For some of our clients, one of my great joys in life is traveling overseas and taking photographs of children in these or families for these organizations, and with goats and animals and girls in school and things like that, but also in here in the US or in Canada, where our teams are actually helping to photograph, to create photography specifically for the catalog. Now, have I done catalogs where my team or whatever hasn't done the photography? Absolutely. We just do the best that we absolutely can. But like, this is where our creative team, we kind of know what to look for. So we'll know, oh, that photo that like we didn't take, that's actually really, really good. And this one over here is kind of not very good. So it takes a little bit of an eye to understand like what's great cover photography, and you might actually have it like already, and we can see it, or we might need to do a little photo shoot. Again, an organization I'm thinking of, we didn't have the right cover, so we just said, listen, let's just do a day. We'll do a little photo shoot. We'll set it all up right, and we'll take care of it. So it's about the right photography. Can't stress that enough, by the way. And it's also about video experience. So we'd like to do videos. They're like proof of delivery. Like, I want to see this thing in action, this product in action, this item in action. And so it's not just so like in our digital efforts, for example, we'll send emails with links to videos and things like that. So it's kind of this submersive or this immersive experience that's just not a flat piece of paper. Recipient cards, big topic of conversation. This is one here I'm showing you. This is Center for Addiction and Mental Health, a gift of light for you. This is like a recipient card. So this is just one example. I'm a big believer in printed cards, as well as PDFs that people can order online, or a digital card. But there's something about a printed card that's very important. And we see retention numbers go up when catalog donors order printed cards, right, to give to Aunt Jane. So again, there's that transactional experience. That's why we like them so much. So, and that's a part of that wow experience. So my encouragement is like, well, did you do a printed card? We can get it like cheaply, it doesn't have to be all expensive. There's a bit of, there's obviously there's data that needs to be dealt with and things like that. But the answer is to start out, I want to start out kind of giving its full breadth, and then I can kind of pull back
Yeah.
if I need to.
Very much an omni-channel experience. It takes all pieces, video, digital, mail, second pieces of mail, the cards coming in, takes everything.
I think it goes back to the comment that I think it was the person, Joe Gies at Bass Pro said, we want to reach people where they live, where they work, and that's exactly it. We want to, you turn on the TV, you'll see an ad for Eddie Bauer. Then you'll get it in the mail, right? Like you'll get the catalog in the mail. You'll go online, you'll see. So again, we're just we're doing the best that we can to learn from retail experiences. If your house file isn't large enough, I mean, it really is a house file kind of first strategic approach. So what I got with acquisition right off the bat, I mean, if I felt like you had like it was like a killer catalog or like a killer offer, we just knew it had tons of experience, I would say, yeah, we should probably test acquisition first. But I'm a little bit conservative, and my recommendation would be like, let's prove it with the house file first in the first year, the first holiday season. Get our results, learn from it, look at our segmentation, etc. And then the next year we'll kind of have more of a full funnel approach. And then let's just be patient, just like everything else. You don't hit it out of the park maybe the first time. Like we saw that with that one organization, they raised $78,000 the first time out.
Yep.
Years later, 16 million. So we had a little bit of a patience there. So how are we doing on time?
We're cutting it close. I think, for our listeners, the webinar will be available to watch later, and the deck is available to download on rkdgroup.com/webinar. So if anyone has to hop off at the 30-minute mark, I think Duke, you and I will go through it, and that way if someone can't listen through to the end, the recording is available.
Right. I'm just going to touch on these. So there are many best practices. I struggled to get this down to what it is. When I normally give this, it's like we'll probably spend 2 hours on best practices going through showing exactly. But so I'm just going to touch on it. So what's it? So there's a number of things. Branding. You heard me say this before. It really must effectively. It should be your brand. So when you see the front of a catalog or you go online and you see that banner, it just should say who you are. So it's got to support it. Everything that we do with the catalog, it's not off-brand. We're not creating a different brand. It's your brand. So we've got to make sure we get that right. The format of the book is really important. The organization within the book meaning catalog, has to be right. We spend a lot of time on optimizing the page counts so that we're giving, and there's a trick to it. Those that work with me know what this trick is. It's called a squinch analysis that I'll actually show you a little snapshot of. But it's basically figuring out which products to put where and how much real estate do you give to every product. That's called a squinch analysis or a square inch analysis. Again, taken from the retail catalog world. We spend a lot of time like that. And in the first time out, it's kind of, in some ways educated guessing. And then we learn and we go on and we learn, and I'll talk about that at the very end. I would not encourage you to do a catalog if it's not if it's less than 16 pages. Why? Then it won't feel like a catalog. Then you'll be going, it didn't work. So catalogs are meant to feel like catalogs. And then, plus you give it enough room, it allows people to shop through it. Like think about going into Walmart or something like that, where it's like, or Target or something where where things are, you kind of, it's easy to get to, there's wide aisles, and there's the checkout process is easy, and so that's what we want our catalogs to be. We don't want it to be some cluttered mess.
No.
So we got to get the covers right. The covers are really, really important. The front cover and the back cover, those are hot spots, we call them within the book. It's got to grab your attention. It's got to say what it is. It's got to inspire you. We're not, we're not some catalogs, there's like a whole bunch of junk on the front cover. I'm not saying in the non-for-profit world, but in the for-profit world, there's all kinds of stuff. We're not in that space. We're in the, we want to inspire people to pick that up and to at least flip the page. So there's things that we put on the catalog. That's the back cover, the stuff we put on the front catalog to encourage people to shop. This is the back cover, that's KMH again. So, we can personalize the back cover. We promote products on the back cover. We promote how you give on the back cover. We promote how you can get a free gift card on the back cover or on the front, cover. So the back cover is really, really important. I talked a little bit about pacing design. One of the layouts that I'm showing you at the very bottom here, again, it just should let people browse with interest. We place bestsellers in the right spot. And then this is an example that we did last year for this organization. And we put this is a spread. This is like the middle of the book spread almost. But and so we kind of disrupted what we call a normal kind of catalog layout, and we did this. This is a refugee camp look. And so it was just, we wanted people to kind of pause and take a look at it and kind of spend some time that page. So this is some of the things that we're doing now to kind of, again, to kind of improve. We would never have, done this 5 years ago. And this was a great catalog this year for that organization. In the catalog, you'll see deals, you'll see bundles. We kind of bundle up, products sometimes. If you have a match, we incorporate matches into the catalog. We've done matches that are corporate matches as well as sort of typical matches or multipliers. And then I talked about stocking stuffers.
So truly a mix of retail best practices and then fundraising working together.
That's exactly right. It has to be both, right? We talked about photography. You got to get the photography right. It's really got to be, especially that cover shot. I love this cover shot from UNICEF. Again, where's the product? It's not on there, but it's this little child, this girl is the life that's transformed. That's the result of the product. So not every time a goat. We use slap dots. I talked about this before. Those that know I'm slap dot fanatic. That's a little slap dot that says free, right there. And and if you'll look at other catalogs, they're all once you know what a slap dot is, you'll recognize it. You'll see it on TV. You'll see it. We use it in direct mail or digital. So that's a slap dot, and we like them. It draws your attention to that spot. So I think this might be the last one. So this is I'm intentionally not showing you a lot of detail here. But basically what we do is we figure out what our products are, our placement, and our evaluation. And there's a scientific way, like I said, it's a square inch analysis. We measure every single product dimension in the catalog. We say how much is given to it, should we, and then we mail our catalog, right? And then afterwards, we do our back-end analysis, and we determine for the next catalog, should we give more real estate to that product or less real estate to that product? And so we're continually sort of adjusting spaces or product real estate within the catalog, and that's what we call a back-end. I've sort of revised the way that we do squinch analysis over the years. I think this is actually one from a while ago. But we actually have refined the way that we do squinch analysis down to the T. So we'll be adjusting, like if we gave it a quarter of a page, we might give it, less than a half a page, next time out, we'll just kind of play with things. And then we just eliminate the losers. So if we go, it's not carrying its weight, we'll probably take that product and we'll move it online, just like a retailer would, right? If it's not working in print, it's sort of not worthy of the print catalog because it's expensive. So then you move that online and then you test a new product. And that's how you're continually evolving. You're giving weight to, we found that I showed you that cover, which was educate a girl, for example. That was always kind of a number maybe 3 or 4 product ranked product back in the day. Now it's like a number 2 product. In some organizations, it's a number 1 product. So we continually, we might have like 1 page devoted to that 1 year, and then the next year we might have 2. So the analysis, it's a bit of a scientific. It's not just like what looks good graphically. There's kind of
Right.
some
It's not by coincidence that something gets a full page or an eighth of a page.
No, it's not by coincidence, and if it is, and if you worked or done this before, that would be why it doesn't work. It's not the only reason, but it's one of those factors of why it potentially did not work, because you didn't put the right product in the right spot. So, and then just as far as timing goes, there's phases, many phases. I mean, this is generally, so it's a 12-month process. For the most part, maybe 11 months. And so so January through March, we're doing our evaluations, we're kind of setting our creative direction, our strategic direction, what's our promotional plan for the year, how are we going to do things differently. It's a lot, that's why it's so much fun, because we're always thinking like, okay, how do we make this better? What new things, can we do? That's in our early days of January through March. Then we start figuring out what the media plan is, the segmentation plan is, things like that, how we're going to be promoting the catalog online, digitally, what should our look be of the online catalog. And then right around now, we're into creative development. We're starting into creative development. We are, now this is for a very robust catalog.
Yeah.
For example, right now, we are working with a brand new client. We're just right now working on product development. So can it be done in 6 months? Absolutely. Can it be done in 4 months? I think the folks that I work with, like, Duke, be quiet. No, you can't do it. But, kind of thing. Like, don't say that. But can it be done in 6 months? Absolutely. Can it be done in 4? You're kind of pushing it. But basically, that's the process. You're figuring out. You're into creative development, and there's all kinds of creative things. And then we're producing the catalog, we're creating the the online catalog, we're adjusting that, and then October, December, we're in market. Most of the revenue, by the way, comes in December, because it's like why? Like last minute shopping, like what like everybody else, right? So should you drop in October? Absolutely yes. Knowing that a lot of the revenue is coming in December, my counts would be, yeah, don't do that. Like, drop at least in October and November. We'll do things like we'll do a postcard, for example, as a drop 3. So like a postcard, or certainly lots of digital promotion, right? Lots of it, like last minute shopping. But for those donors who routinely give to a catalog, we might do a postcard drop, in like 1st of December. It says, last minute shopping, go on, and it's a complete push online. So we've also done things like a pre-postcard. I remember, or certainly in the digital space, email blast out to everybody, and it's something like, hey, your catalog is coming, look for it soon, to kind of build that interest. For donors that gave to the catalog last year, that postcard that I just said, or that email, will say, hey, remember you gave that goat, or that whatever last year? Thank you. That's so, and we'll show whatever the item is that they bought. Quote unquote bought.
Back to it.
And then they'll go like, oh yeah, that's right. I get it. So it's like, yep, that's why your catalog is coming. It'll be here in 2 weeks. Look for it. So that's a little bit about the promotion.
And then last set of information to share is, for the people who have never done this type of giving, symbolic giving, before the organization, here's some things on if you want to explore if this is a solution, some places to start.
And it's just answering a few questions. Again, it's not for everybody, but it took me one client like 3 years to convince them that this was an on top of strategy. That organization, that it took me 3 years to figure them to, us to kind of collectively figure this out. Thank goodness that they did, because they've raised, over $2 million from this catalog, right? That they never would have had. So can you see it as an on top of strategy? And it's kind of scary, sometimes, because you're like, I don't want to jeopardize any fall revenue.
Mm-hmm.
So can you kind of see it as an on top of strategy? Are you willing, or are you really looking to diversify your fundraising efforts, especially now, given that there are some channels that have sort of dried up, right? So that's why I love catalogs, because it diversifies your fundraising efforts. You're not just stuck. So, are you looking for that? Can you together, and we'll help you, like, can you, identify at least 20, 24 at minimum products to start? And then there's some internal agreements, cross-departmental agreements that you have to, can you do that? Are you able to do that? So, no, well, what do I mean by that? Well, catalogs take the work of your digital team, let's say your direct mail team. If you've got a video team, potentially, we do all that stuff like for you, but it takes agreements, with those internal departments, so that you're kind of sharing this, and it's to be seen as a campaign. The most successful catalogs I've ever seen are when the internal departments get together and they get excited about it, and they're willing to say, you know what, let's add this to our holiday, fundraising schedule. For example, our catalogs might be supported by, 7, 8, 9 emailed appointments over that October through December time period. So now you got to kind of negotiate with your email team, right? It's like, can we do that? And so that's what I mean by can you achieve some internal agreements with key stakeholders? And then, budget. We can talk budget, but is there extra budget to at least test it? And you've heard me before, I'm a big believer in like giving it its full weight. I'm not saying spend a lot of money on it, but it needs, it's a printed catalog, right? Or it's an online catalog. You've got to build the website, which is what we're doing now for a brand new client. So, and you got to build the plan. So it's not like crazy expensive. It's just like you got to start somewhere, and postage is always going to be postage, right? Like you got to pay so much for post. That's not going to go away. So it's just earmarking a bit of a test budget for it for the year, and then diving in. So
Perfect.
that's how I would start.
Love it. I think that's a great start. And I said this earlier, if anybody listening is kind of curious about, or beginning to think that this could be a good additional strategy for the organization, we can help you kind of work through these questions and figure out if it's something that's a good fit for you. I know the idea of coming up with those products probably sounds daunting, as maybe one of the hardest parts at the very beginning to work through. But thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you to those who stuck with us a little bit past our end time. I appreciate you listening in. Hopefully, you walk away feeling a little bit more informed and ready to think about symbolic giving for your year-end mix. If you want to access a recording of this webinar or download the PDF, PowerPoint, go to rkdgroup.com/webinars. We should have this up tomorrow or so. And if you have any questions for us, you can reach out to us at connect@rkdgroup.com, and I'll connect you with Duke. So hopefully Duke hopefully you don't mind, I'm volunteering.
I got all the time in the world. Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you, Duke, for doing this webinar with me, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it so much.